Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into the first top waiver wire targets and streamable defenses video of this season. I'm gonna be doing this for week one. We have finally made it. The NFL's kicking off this Thursday. We got a Friday game, and of course, we got a full slate of games this Sunday, which obviously ends on Monday night. Before I do dive into my top waiver wire targets, I always like to say this. For me, you guys, I ideally would have drafted players that you're not going to be dropping, or you're not going to want to you should be start. If you draft them in the starting lineup, you should be starting them. So hopefully you're not on the waivers. But they're like, for example, in a draft I did Sunday night. I drafted Nick Chubb because we have an IR spot, so I slid him in the IR spot and I picked up somebody off the waivers. If you have Nick Chubb or you drafted Jonathan Brooks, for example, anybody that's on the pup list, like a TJ Hawkinson, for example, if your league does have an IR spot, I definitely suggest you guys sliding them into the IR spot and then going to pick up somebody off the waivers. So yeah, most of these guys that I'm about to speak about, they're more stash plays. I don't think you should be picking up somebody off the waivers to play in week one. But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into it. As I've done in every single year I do these videos, the players I am about to speak about have to have at least 50% roster availability per Yahoo. So there is a good chance that these players are available on your leagues. My quarterback out of the week, there's nobody really, I think, at worth right now to go stash on your bench. If you maybe drafted a young quarterback that you don't want to really trust in week one, you want to go with a safe option. I got Baker Mayfield here. He's available in 67% of leagues. They are playing the Washington Commanders. I like Mayfield this week just because they are playing at home. He has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in that passing attack. And then I like the matchup for Baker this week, going against the Commanders, who have new pieces in the secondary. It's the week one, so with them being new pieces in the secondary, obviously the coaching staff probably did their best during the preseason to work on communication, but there could be some communication issues between the new pieces in the secondary, which could lead to broken coverages where you can get those big plays from like a Mike Evans. So I think he's a safe streaming option, like I mentioned, if you don't trust your quarterback this week. But ideally, you did draft a quarterback and you're going to be playing him, and you don't have to go look at the waivers for one. But maybe if you're in the two quarterback leagues, that he would be an option I would definitely consider playing this week. My running back out of the week, this is definitely going to be a stash one if you don't really trust your running back depth, or maybe you drafted a Jonathan Brooks or a Nick Chubb and you do have an IR spot and you could slide them to the IR. I would suggest going to add J.K. Dobbins. He's available in 53% of the leagues. They are going against the Raiders, which do have an improved defensive front, but I'm not necessarily picking up J.K. Dobbins to play him this week. I would just prefer to pick him up and stash him on my bench. So that way, what if J.K. Dobbins goes off this Sunday? You don't have to worry about fighting for him next Tuesday on the waiver wires. So that's why he is my top running back out of the week. Same thing's going to go for Mike Williams. He's available in 56% of the leagues. The Jets are playing the 49ers. Now, the report is that Robert Saleh did say that Mike Williams is expected to play week one. Even though he's a talented wide receiver that's produced in fantasy before, I don't necessarily want to trust him. Obviously, he's coming off an injury. We don't know how many snaps he's going to get. But just same as J.K. Dobbins, I would rather stash him on my bench. That way, if all of a sudden Mike Williams this Monday, I think, yeah, that's a Monday night game, if he goes off like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns with Aaron Rodgers, you're not sitting there having to fight for him on Tuesday because you already picked him off the waivers and stashed him on your bench. My tight end of the week, I view the tight end as the quarterback. Ideally, you should have drafted the tight end you're going to be playing this week. I don't necessarily love having more than one tight end on my roster at all times. But maybe if you drafted a TJ Hawkinson that you can slide into an IR, a safe option I think would be Tyler Conklin. He's available in 80% of the leagues. He gets a lot of targets. I think the last 3 years he's received at least 87 targets in each of the last 3 seasons. Going against the 49ers, which is a good defense, but with Aaron Rodgers coming back, I think that raises his early season value. And especially since we don't know how many snaps Mike Williams is going to play in this game, I could see Conklin finishing in this game with the second or third most targets. So that's why if you were looking for maybe a safer option at your tight end position this week, I would consider picking up Tyler Conklin and possibly playing him this week. My flex out of the week, we got a storm going on here in Tampa. It is rainy season, so if you guys hear the thunder during this video, I do apologize if that is coming through on the video over my voice. But let me just keep on going. My flex out of the week, I'm going to go with Michael Wilson, the second-year wide receiver for the Cardinals. He's available in 85% of leagues. He was in my video I did back in July about wide receivers to target late in your fantasy football drafts. I just really like him this year. Yeah, I think he is playable this week in deep leagues in like 12, 14 team leagues. Going against the Bills and kind of like the Commanders defense when I talked about Baker Mayfield, Buffalo has a whole new revamped secondary. So there could be potential communication issues in the back end of that defense. But even though if you want to maybe stash him this week, I think he could be a long-term play for you to stash on your bench, because I think he's going to have a solid year in with more time in an offseason to work with Kyler Murray. And this passing attack with Arizona should improve with the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., that he's going to draw more of the eyes of the coverage, which is going to leave a lot of one-on-one opportunities for Michael Wilson. And I don't necessarily love the Cardinals defense right now, so I feel like this Arizona offense is going to have to throw the ball a lot this year. They're going to have to try to win games and shootouts. So I see a potential where you're going to see weeks where Michael Wilson's getting 7 to 8 plus targets in a game, which can make him a wide receiver 3, maybe like a low end wide receiver 2 if he takes that year 2 jump. So yeah, that's my waiver wire targets for week 2. Moving on to my streamable defenses. You guys, if anybody did listen to my video, I did the video a couple weeks ago, streamable defenses for week 1 that you should leave your draft with. 4 of those defenses do qualify for my list. My number 1 defense from that video was the Bengals. They don't qualify for this list because a lot of people either listened to me or they were just very aware that they are playing the Patriots this week. Obviously, the Bengals are still out there. I highly suggest going to get the Bengals to stream this week. But just like the players I spoke about, as I've done every year for my streamable defenses video, these defenses have to have at least 50% roster availability per Yahoo leagues. So there's a good chance these defenses are available for you. And I feel like I'm going to have to say this every week, so I do apologize for the people that stick with me every week. But again, streaming defenses is a volatile option. It's a high risk. I always do it. I just have to say that just in case we get any of those people on TikTok that like to get upset if I happen to suggest the wrong defense of the week. It happens. Sometimes you get got when you stream defenses. With that being said, if you guys watch the streaming defenses to leave your draft with video, you're going to hear a lot of repetitive things over these next 4 defenses. But yeah, the Seahawks against the Broncos. Seahawks are available in 75% of the leagues right now. I just like it because they're facing a rookie quarterback at home. We know what the home crowd can do for that Seattle defense, and and as I will always say in week 1, I love streaming defenses against rookie quarterbacks. I go back to Andrew Luck's first game on the road against the Chicago Bears. He threw like 3 interceptions, with 2 of those being pick sixes. So that's why I like the Seahawks at home. And here's the thing to keep in mind with the Seahawks. Next week, they play the New England Patriots. So you could actually stream the Seahawks defenses for 2 weeks in a row. My number 2 defense, I am going with the Chargers against the Raiders. The Chargers are available in 94% of the leagues, and this is strictly because I just know Gardner Minshew is always good for at least 1 or 2 turnovers in a game. I could see the Chargers getting after him and loading up on sacks in this game. And why I also like the Chargers is next week they play the Panthers, which is going to be a good streaming option. And then we'll have to see what happens with the Steelers, but they play the Steelers in week 3. And if the Steelers don't blow up the world, set the world on fire on offense this week, you're talking about a defense that you can stream in the first 3 weeks until you got to turn to a different option in week 4. My number 3 streaming defense, going with the Bucks against the Commanders. Just like I talked about with the Broncos, Bucks are at home going against a rookie quarterback in his first game. Outside of Terry McLaurin, there's not a lot of proven passing options for Jaden Daniels to throw the ball to. So I like the chances that the Bucks are going to take advantage of that. You got to also keep in mind there's a lot of continuity in the defense for Todd Bowles. A lot of these players have been in that same defense since that Super Bowl they won with Tom Brady back in 2020. So I expect their communication to be on point on the back end of the defense, where they can potentially pick off Daniels at least maybe a couple times in this game. And I do like the sack opportunity because the Commanders, I believe that's set in stone where they are going to be starting a rookie left tackle. So that's something you should factor in. My number 4 streaming defense, I am going to go with the Saints against the Panthers. The Saints are available in 52% of leagues. They're just at home going against the Panthers offense that completely struggled last year. They have a poor offensive line. We don't know what their offense is going to look like. And like I was kind of saying with the Commanders, this is Dave Canales' first game, so you don't really expect Dave Canales' offense to hit the ground running in week 1, especially considering it is an offense that struggled last year. So that's why I think the Saints are actually a high floor streaming option for you this week. So this is the new defense I'm speaking about, since I can't speak about the Bengals in this one, since I kind of did, but anyways, another one I do like the Falcons defense against the Steelers. The Falcons are available in 91% of the leagues. Mike Tomlin came out and said Isaac Seumalo, the guard for the Steelers, is out this week. There's other pieces on their offensive line that are severely banged up. Russell Wilson is starting, but it doesn't matter if it's Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Those guys have lowered the last few years have tend to hold on the ball. They've actually been sacked. Both of them are number 1 and number 2 of most sacked quarterbacks since 2021. So I like the Falcons defense to potentially get a lot of sacks in this game. And then with this, not outside of George Pickens, I like Pat Freiermuth as a solid fantasy option. Yeah, this storm is really rolling in, so I do apologize. I'll get this video wrapped up so you guys don't have to keep on hearing that thunder. But yeah, with that being said, I like the Falcons as a as a potential good streaming option if you weren't able to get those top 4 defenses. Or I keep on saying, if the Bengals are out there, when I checked today, they are available in 55% of the leagues. 45% of the leagues. So they didn't qualify for the list, but they are out there in a good number of leagues. So yeah. That is my top streamable defenses for week 1 of the NFL season. As always, guys, you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Make sure you do subscribe or follow me on all my social media platforms on X, YouTube, TikTok. I'm on Instagram, even though most of the time I'm just sharing my YouTube links there. But yeah, tomorrow night, guys, you'll be getting my top starts and sits for week 1. So I'll talk to you then. I hope you guys enjoy your evening or your morning whenever you're watching this. Peace out.